Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play uses the 7th edition Call of Cthulhu tabletop role-playing game rules by Chaosium. This actual play is performed by adults and in an adult setting. While we try very hard to stick to language for all ages, listeners should know that this podcast may include mature themes. All content, including names, places, events, companies, and etc., that may bear resemblance to entities living or dead, is strictly coincidental. My name is Michael Diamond, and for tonight's game, I will be your keeper. Thank you for joining us again on another episode of the Old Ways podcast. I'm your keeper, Keeper Michael, and we return to Horror on the Orient Express. We are still bounding our way through the Alps, although we've taken a short, brief respite at a city called Lausanne. And we've recently uncovered that some very nasty and terrible things happened to a taxidermist and his brother in a shop. And so we have some items yet still to sort through of what has been recovered from that house. But before we get to that, we need to get to introductions. So to my right.
I'm Mike, and I'm playing James Robert Fraser, and I just called the police.
Yes, as somebody who's definitely not James Robert Fraser, but somebody who definitely told them there was a terrible murder going on. To Mr. Fraser's right.
Hi, I'm Rena, and I play Lady Elisabeth Fitzroy, and I'm very disappointed that the scroll I've been looking for is in a language I can't read. Sad day.
You know, there are so many languages around the world. It's tough to catch them all, but it just means that you've got more to study now.
I'll just have to learn all of them.
Right. Yeah, let me see if I can find that eldritch being that can quickly teach you a language. I'm sure it won't hurt at all. To Lady Elisabeth's right.
Hi, I'm Miranda, and I'm playing Maggie Bellinger, and I think I've just settled down a little bit from a bout of forcefulness.
Yes, a bout of, what do we say, Americanness, maybe? No,
Yes.
Possibly. Yes, you had quite the... It's even hard now as you're standing in the conjoined area here in the room. It's a bit foggy while you got so just violently angry with the forceful. Hard to tell, but I'm sure that there's an explanation for it. Last but most certainly not least.
I'm Martin, and I'm playing Richard Courtenay. And on this week's What's Happening with Richard's Clothes, he's heading back to the hotel to get rid of any incriminating glass or other evidence on his jacket.
At some point, there's going to be a collection of the professor's trousers and or suit coats. We're going to collect as a evidence line and all the terrible things that have happened.
You'll be able to cut through his clothing and see, just like you will a tree looking at its rings, you'll be able to cut through these trousers and see exactly what happened in his life.
Once the professor's no longer a player character, we need someone to do a smash cut of all of the intros where Martin is saying, and I've done something about my trousers or my coat or whatever.
I love the inevitability with which you assume that the professor's going to become a non-player character. It's like when his sanity reaches 0, not if, when.
It is a safe bet. It is a safe bet. Okay, so we bring the spotlight on this evening at the Investigators Hotel in Lausanne. They have collected themselves inside the conjoined area while Simon continues to slumber in the next room. The party's medic, physician perhaps, on-hand doctor in training, arrives back into the room after you've been looking over the scroll, and he helps the service staff bring in a couple of carts with dinner. There's some food here, he announces, almost as a redundant item because you see him show up.
Thanks, Paul. Bring it in.
Absolutely.
Let me give you a hand there, Mr. Maverhaven.
So it seems that the staff has gone to the trouble of a nice dinner that they presented here. There's a couple of courses, salads, some soups. Strangely enough, Mr. Fraser, they seem to have made a main course of venison.
Oh, all of a sudden, I'm not feeling terribly hungry.
Well, what is it?
Is everything okay? I had the venison earlier. It's great. They said it's fresh.
Perhaps just a salad.
And Miss Bellinger, can I get you something?
No, I seem to have actually lost my appetite. Thank you, though, Paul.
I, on the other hand, am ravenous.
Yeah, there's quite a bit here. You dig in a little bit as you're kind of going through some of the rest of the sundry items. There's also wine. There's a pitcher of water. There's tea service as well, in case anybody is thirsty.
Well, the three of us who are from Great Britain will certainly be having tea.
Yes.
And I'm going to have actual dinner because, well, venison, all right. I mean, I've seen Father kill plenty of deer. Not quite as gruesomely, but, it doesn't bother me all that much.
All right.
Yes, I think I'll probably just have a salad and some cheese and biscuits or something along those lines.
Well, there are some wonderful Swiss cheeses here. So over dinner, you do have a couple of items here that are left over from the taxidermist office. There's this receipt, which is fairly easy to run down the list of what was purchased. It looks like it's got today's date on it. There's sealing wax. There's some sort of fine parchment, and also lists a couple of chemicals.
Ah, yes. So I'm guessing then that this particular scroll was made today, judging by the materials.
I'm not sure. In the diary, it says I've received the translation of Mallan's scroll. I was wondering if this is Mallan's scroll.
Well, perhaps it was aged. Well, this might be the translation or a copy or something that he sent off to be translated. Who knows?
Yes.
But these chemicals and things.
Is that what the receipts there are for?
What does the receipt say the chemicals are for?
It doesn't say what they're for. It just says what chemicals they are. And do you have chemistry there, Professor?
No, not much.
All right. Well, tell you what. Why don't you give me an intelligence roll then? Say hard.
I was going to say physics and chemistry are relatively close, aren't they?
You're a smart cookie.
Ooh, that's 41 under 60. Not a brilliant roll, but...
No, but more than enough for at least one of the chemicals, not the other one. One of the chemicals would aid in drying. It's some sort of drying agent.
Is there a date on the receipt? Sorry.
Yes, sir. Today's date.
This one appears to be some sort of desiccant. It's excellent for drying.
It sounds like he was purchasing items to use in the forgery.
Yes, which is why I think that this particular scroll was probably made today. You can make things look older with chemicals.
Either that or he intended to make more.
Or he intended to make more, but this has obviously been made to look old, and she'll point to some of the aging stains. This is very obviously done by chemicals, not by actual age.
Can we tell if it's fresh?
Well, what is fresh?
Whether the scroll still smells of chemicals, because if he's done it today...
Yeah, I mean, maybe a bit. It probably picked up a little bit of the house smell, at least being in that room with all of the body and the blood, but not enough. Wouldn't enough to overpower the faint smell of the chemicals.
Because if it was like 5 o'clock when we were there, and the items, the chemicals were bought today, then presumably he's only had 8 hours tops to actually make this forgery, which would barely even give it time to dry, I would imagine.
Yeah, it is definitely, from Lady Elisabeth's ascertaining, it is definitely a forgery, and these are probably the agents that he used to do it.
It's entirely possible that this is what he would show to people, or use it as a distraction to get us away from the original. Maybe he would have shown us this one if we'd shown up before he was unfortunately deceased.
Well, it sounds like from his diary, if it can be believed, that he says he's hidden the original at the beginning of January this year. But where he says he's hid it, that's the thing I find most perplexing.
Well, we've been in some kind of dream world before, Mr. Fraser. Can't be that hard to believe.
I know I've had a dream before, but...
A dream we all shared?
Well, I've heard of such a thing happening, but certainly this. He claims that he's able to transport things, items from this waking world to the dream world that he speaks on. That to me, that sounds quite incredible. Beggars belief.
The mental gymnastics you engage in, Mr. Fraser, must leave you quite exhausted.
My mental gymnastics are not particularly strenuous, your ladyship. I find it easier to believe that it is not possible to bring a physical item from the waking world to the dream world and leave it in a dream and then come back without it than the reverse. To my mind, that is what requires the mental agility, so to speak.
Did anyone take anything with you into this dream world that we were in?
Not that I can remember. In fact, we were dressed entirely in different clothes and didn't look like ourselves when we...
Yes, the professor's hat.
Yes.
Professor, you're having a hard time remembering the anecdotes that Lady Elisabeth and Miss Bellinger are talking about. They don't true up to you.
What about you, Professor? Were you able to bring anything?
I've heard you talk about these things before. I don't recall a dream with everybody in it.
Ah, yes. Yes, well, if we can have a group dream on a dream train version of the Orient Express, then I see no reason why you shouldn't be able to take things in and out of it if you try hard enough, particularly as, it seems to be some kind of occult item, Mr. Fraser. Perhaps occult items are easier to take in and out of occult situations. It may be. Who knows? But we can try.
It would seem that the Duke has formulated a means of forcing your way to enter into this dream world.
Professor, do you have that vial?
The
one I gave
with
you.
the liquid.
Yes.
Yes, I do. Yes, it's.
I'm
I put it in
wondering.
my pocket.
I'm wondering if this might be the potion, the sleep aid, and if so, I wonder where it would take us. Or me, anyway.
Well, yes.
Another slice of cheesecake, Mr. Mayhaven.
Well, he looks up. He was reading the paper. No. I've had my fill, but thank you, sir. I appreciate it. What's in the vial?
I'll take it from the professor and hand it over to Paul. I was rather hoping you could maybe, with your medical nose, give it a bit of a sniff.
We think it may be a sleep aid.
Yes.
He picks it up, looks at it a bit, draws it up to a light to cast some light through this size of an ink bottle or so, this green bottle. It's pretty muddy. Boy. There are some sort of filaments in it, though. Well, give me just one moment. He steps over to a nearby table and takes the stopper off of it. And then he seems to almost gesture to the bottle as if it's a perfume bottle, trying to get some sort of scent out of it. Because we like Paul, we're going to let him push the roll. Smash that wide open with a hard success. He puts the stopper back on. It's a narcotic for sure. Near as I can tell, it's likely in the sedative family. Where did you say you found this?
How would one take such a thing?
You drink it, I assume.
Well,
Intravenous injection, Professor Courtenay. Intravenous injection.
Well, not to disagree with you, Mr. Fraser, that's one way. But it could be applied as perhaps in a liquid form with some additional agents to body it up, so that way it could be taken like a cough syrup or something.
Oh, sorry, I perhaps I misunderstood. I thought that was the bottle that was found next to the syringe.
Yeah, the bottle that was found next to the syringe was an empty bottle of morphine.
Oh, right. Sorry.
This bottle was found on the floor nearby. So, it could even be taken. It could be put on food. Back at Charrington, we had to get a little creative with how people took medicine. And so sometimes you could offer somebody a pill and they might not take it. But if you offered them a glass of water with a medicinal portion inside of it, it was a lot easier to get them to take it. Where'd you say you got it? He hands you the vial back.
One could have one's sleeping potion in one's mashed potatoes.
No, indeed. Mm-hmm.
Fascinating. Seems a much nicer way of taking such things. Shall we give it a go, Professor?
Yes, one wonders whether one might take it with tea, perhaps.
I mean, you could.
I'd like to see what it does.
Yes, I think the question stands is, do we have enough for all of us? Do only one or two of us take it while the others keep watch on that person? Does it go specific place to specific place? Will we end up where the scroll is stashed?
Paul's face looks a little strange. He looks a little... He muddles his features up a little bit. Where I'm sorry, Miss Bellinger, I apologize. Where would you go?
To a dream.
Oh, well... It's likely if it's a heady sedative, yeah, you might fall asleep.
Mr. Maverhaven, I think you're misunderstanding. I believe Miss Bellinger, if I'm not much mistaken, is talking about traveling into a dream and having an experience of some kind which is as real as that which you have in the waking world, and being able to wander back and forth between the dream and the real world willy-nilly, so to speak.
Well, yes, we've done it once before.
Well, we've dreamed that we've done it.
Well, this could possibly test our hypothesis then.
Yes, it's a scientific method.
So then, Lady Elisabeth, are you up for a little experiment?
Always.
Well, there seems to be more than enough for the four of you here. And, as a qualified medical near professional, I'd be happy to watch over you. I've got my bag here in case anything untoward might happen. And if that makes you feel any better, I can always just go wake Simon in the next room if something happens.
Oh, that's right. Mr. Griffith will be here to keep an eye on things. Mr. Fraser?
Against my better judgment, your ladyship, I suppose. And you can tell he's very ill at ease with the whole concept of this.
You've come a long way in just a few short days, Mr. Fraser. I'm proud of you.
What's the worst that can happen here? Fall asleep and I wake up.
Sure.
Sure, that's the worst. Yes, definitely. Shall we?
I suppose I would defer to you, Lady Elisabeth. How would you prefer to take it? Would you prefer with tea or something more dramatic?
Well, the professor's going to take it in tea, I believe, but I think... Is it advisable to mix alcohol and such things? I don't know what the medical consensus is.
I don't know that narcotics and alcohol are a proper pair, if you take my meaning. I would advise against ingesting too much alcohol if you're going to engage in a little bit of narcotic-induced sleep, if you don't mind. I mean, I'm not your doctor by any means, but...
Some tea, then. Nice and calming.
He heads back towards the carts that the service folks have set up and begins preparing tea. He calls over his shoulder, "Why don't you all get comfortable then? Find a place here to relax."
I feel like I'm in an opium den.
So it reminds me of my first flat.
Your first flat was an opium den?
It reminds me of my Aunt Edith's flat.
Yes, it should. Yes, a gaggle of Parisians stroll in and set up a hookah. We're going dreaming. No.
I'm gonna take a nice comfy armchair with an ottoman to put my feet up on. Do they call them ottomans back then? I don't know. It's because depending on the time period, it might sound like I'm putting my feet up on a person.
Yes, please don't.
So I'm gonna take a nice comfortable seat and lean back, get comfy.
All right. Paul prepares 4 cups of tea.
I'm going to sit on a stiff-backed chair, straight upright, in a very uncomfortable position, because I don't like this at all, and I'm not going to get myself comfortable, because...
Sure.
No.
So he comes round after a few minutes with saucer and tea, with any additional process or accoutrements that you require with your tea, because everyone takes tea differently.
What time is it?
Oh, it's must be 6:30 by now.
Oh no, we'll be having tea then.
Oh, we will.
7:30 in the evening? What kind of a man are you?
Can't have coffee, for God's sake.
No, a glass of port.
That's alcohol, Mr. Fraser.
Yes, and?
Paul advised against it, if you will recall.
Oh, Paul knows how this dreaming potion works, does he?
He knows it's a narcotic, and he says narcotics and alcohol shouldn't be mixed. I would hate for us to have a lovely dream and wake up to find you just sitting there in some sort of stupor, or perhaps dead.
Very well. Perhaps a glass of water. I'm not really in the mood for tea just now.
Understood. Paul produces said glass of water, and he makes himself physically available to the four of you as you begin to sip the tea, or drink the water, as it were.
And how much of this concoction should we take?
I've apportioned it out so that way the four of you have just about equal portions. There's a bit left in the bottle. I thought maybe we'd save for research purposes. It'd be good to see what it's made out of.
Of course. Well, bottoms up.
So at first, the tea, or the water as it were, tastes relatively normal. There isn't a significant taste difference in either of the two items. Actually, the water in the Lausanne area is fantastic. You get it very close. They probably get it directly from the lake, and Lake Geneva is lots of rocks, obviously, lots of a filtering availability for the natural water here. And it's a very refreshing glass of water, Mr. Fraser. The tea, for those of you who are drinking tea, so far, so good. As you get down near the bottom of the teacup, though, there's something about this that begins to taste just a bit bitter. More than you were expecting. And in turn, each one of you begins to feel your consciousness detach a bit from your body. Your muscles get a little slow. Your head rolls backwards and then eventually pitches forward. Not in a shocking way, but definitely in a definitive way that you can tell that you're beginning to lose a little bit of physical control. Now, for those of you who are in nice, comfortable chairs with your feet propped up, this is no issue at all. Mr. Fraser, you feel just the light hand of Paul at your shoulder as you're beginning to lose consciousness a little bit, and his words echo in your left ear, and they echo all across your skull, and it seems like he's speaking into your left ear and out of your right as he talks. And he says, "I've got you now, Mr. Fraser, not to worry at all." And it's that last word, all, hangs for several seconds. You each feel yourself let go in such a wondrous yet decidedly fearful way of the last vestiges of consciousness. And you awake in a dark room with open windows, much like the one you were previously in, although the floor here is pitted and broken. The walls are cracked and decayed. And the wind that whistles through these walls is foul, dusty. For you, Miss Bellinger, it's almost as if a freakish dust bowl incident has happened here. You can see the sand and the grit in the air. But this must be the hotel, although not from an era you're familiar with. Professor, you notice one thing, clasped tight to your left arm. It's a band of metal, and down around it hangs a chain. And on that chain is a case, one you know very well.
What on earth is this?
Did you bring the device with you?
I don't recall doing so. I remember having my wooden dice, but I can't explain this. It has a habit of popping up.
It's an occult object, brought into some strange dream, like the scroll. Yes. There we are. Are you a believer, Mr. Fraser? She's got a wicked smile.
So Mr. Fraser's just kind of looking around himself and looking at what he's wearing and what everyone else is wearing in the room that we're in. Is that a handcuff that he's wearing? Is he handcuffed to the...
Of a sort, yeah. And actually your own clothes, even as you look around and look at each other, these are not what you remember from the dream the last time. There's no foppish hats. There's no stalking ravens. There's no high, colorful, conical hats for you, Lady Elisabeth. You're all a bit shabby clothed. In fact, you're wearing clothes seem to have been gone through the wash perhaps too many times. They've faded. Everything here is dim.
Are they similar to the clothes that we wear under normal circumstances?
Similar, but say turned back in style.
All right, okay.
So you are very much in your personal assistant's clothing, but something more from the 1800s.
I know that I have taken a drug. I know that I am now having some sort of hallucination or dream.
And we're all having the same one.
Well, you say
again.
You say you are, but you're just a person in my dream. So,
all
who
right,
can tell?
Mr. Fraser. When you wake up, we'll have a chat, and we'll just show that we've all been in the same dream, and then maybe you'll actually believe me for once. But probably not.
I'm not saying I don't believe you, Your Ladyship. I'm saying that I am maintaining a healthy skepticism.
My dear Mr. Fraser, I am starting to believe that you wouldn't believe in the occult if it stood up and smacked you in the face.
Oh, I believe in the devil, Your Ladyship.
I don't mean the devil, Mr. Fraser. There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy. And that includes the devil. So,
quoting Shakespeare won't change the facts, Your Ladyship. There is a devil, and his works are to deceive. And I will not be deceived by the Prince of Hell.
Yes, well, I don't think he's behind all of this.
He's behind everything, Your Ladyship. Every evil upon this world, he's behind. You may rest assured of that. Whatever guise it might take, he's behind it.
Sounds like a very convenient way to excuse the things people do to each other.
I can't help the truth, Your Ladyship. The devil... man has free will, Your Ladyship, but the devil tricks man.
Ah, yes. So the devil makes you do it, but you choose to do it.
The devil suggests that you do it, and if your will is weak, then you take the suggestion in hand. It is the road to hell that is paved with good intentions, Your Ladyship. The best intentions.
I have very good intentions. So shall we continue down this path to hell and go find that scroll?
Your Ladyship, you may be flippant, but be careful. Be careful that you do not fall victim to his ways, or you may regret it for a long time to come.
Well, if he pops up, I'll just tell him to his face I don't believe in him and keep walking, since that's what seems to be the best way of dealing with such things.
Oh, Your Ladyship.
So, shall we
you
go?
know I admire your intelligence and your forthrightness, but sometimes I find your flippancy. I just want to say that be careful. Be careful what you wish for, because it may come true.
Professor, Miss Bellinger, in a very dilapidated room. It's a hotel room, just like you were in before, but this has been chewed in and some sort of left to waste and rot. What are the two of you doing? Well, the two of them discuss the devil and their dealings.
Maggie, if Edgar came back here, do you think he would appear in his own house rather than this hotel?
Well, almost certainly. This does answer one question. As I stated previously, we wondered if where we fell asleep, if that's where we would arrive in this dream world, and it seems that to be the case. So it is only safest to assume that if he went into the dream world in his house at night when he went to sleep, that is where he would have first arrived here and possibly hidden the scroll.
Yes. Should we head over there?
Yes, but let's keep our wits about us on the way. I'm not sure what the rest of this world holds.
Quite. Do we have any things on us so handy, like lockpicky things we could possibly use if we need them?
Do we have any lockpicky things?
Do we have any luck?
Got a stick.
No, for the most part, what you have on you is... So I guess the clearest as mud answer as I can give you is you have some relatively basic things on you. So if the professor carries a pocket watch, you don't have it. Or a wristwatch, you don't have it. Lockpicks are relatively mundane. There is nothing mechanical about them. And so if you had them with you in, say, your pocket, then you still have them. I know for a fact that Mr. Fraser had his service revolver on him. But when you arrive here, should he look for that known weight, you would not feel it.
Mm-hmm. Do I have a box of matches in my pocket?
Indeed.
I'm going to get up and have a look out the window.
Okay, you go to the blinds to pull the blinds. You pull them up, and as you pull them up, what you reveal is brick and mortar.
No window.
No, sir.
Curiouser.
Perhaps we go out the door. Maybe there was some... I don't know, this could be some... Who knows? Maggie, lead the way.
Yes, of course.
I assume we're going to the taxidermist?
Yes.
So you go to the door, Maggie, and you put your hand around the door handle. And as you turn it left, accelerate the knob left to yank open the door. The door sticks a little bit, but you manage to get it to open. When it does open, you are surprised to find that the door handle and the surrounding wood crumble in your hand. It comes apart. It falls to the floor as ashen dust.
Well, that's quite strange. This place seems to be in some sort of state of decay. As I said previously, I believe we must keep our wits about us, so perhaps for the time being we keep our bickering to a minimum.
I know this is going to sound somewhat strange, but if this is just a dream, maybe we should close our eyes and imagine we're in the taxidermy shop, and maybe we might appear there. I mean, it certainly doesn't seem we're going to get there via conventional means.
Well, I don't think it would hurt to try, I guess.
I know it sounds a little bit childish, but well, sometimes when in a dream, act like a child.
Well, if pure imagination is all it takes, then why don't we just imagine we have the scroll in our hands?
Ah, inspired.
I was being facetious, Professor.
No, I think you may have hit upon a good idea.
Oh dear.
So beyond the doorway, you see the hall of the hotel that you'd stayed in. It is in very similar ruinous state. So the banisters, the railings crumbled. The walkway which leads downstairs is an absolutely now a terrifyingly dangerous route that you'll have to take. The upper floors here have given way for the most part. So floors 3 and 4, the upper portions of the building have crumbled inward. There is a now new and unplanned for skylight in the building, which was created when the ceiling collapsed at some point. There's a very intense light that draws in, although it's very difficult to discern where exactly the light is coming from. You'll have to be careful on the way down.
Can I do an occult roll to see if I know anything about dream worlds or dreaming, or is this Cthulhu mythos?
No, actually it would be dreaming lore.
Which I only have a 14 in, but I'll try.
Sure.
Probably not.
Only, she says.
23.
Shucks.
It's very close.
Yeah. I mean, you could always try to push that, but it's a 14, so.
I'll spend the luck.
Clever girl. You spend the luck, and you surmise that this area maybe is a little bit beyond the scope of where you were. It doesn't feel like your last dreaming location. It doesn't feel anything like it. There's no vibrancy here. It's as if the marrow of the life of the dreamlands have been sucked right out. And the only thing left is the empty husk of whatever this imaginary dreamed location was.
This is a very different place from where we were before. I know it feels different and looks different, but I'm saying this is a different place. It's a different kind of dreamscape.
Well, whatever it is, I don't think we should spend too long here.
No, probably not.
I know it was meant in jest, but I do think there may be merit in trying to imagine the scroll. See if we can bring it to bear with thought.
By all means, Professor, feel free to try. I mean, this...
Well, give me a moment. And Richard will just sit on the floor and he'll probably go full cross-legged here. Stick his arms on his legs, sort of tented with his hands tented together. Close his eyes, breathe deeply, and see if he can imagine the scroll as if it was laying across his lap there.
Ooh, that sounds fantastic. So why don't you go ahead and give me a power roll?
I'm sure this is going to not work at all, but...
You are at disadvantage for this roll.
Okay, let me roll another one. Oh, I'm going to spend 4 points of luck having failed with an 84.
Okay, so you're spending luck to make it a success?
Yeah.
Okay. So you begin to imagine this scroll, what little you saw of it from the faked version that you secured from the shop of Edgar Wellington. And as the image of it arrives in your mind, you see the paper unfurl and you imagine the texture of the parchment and the feel of the wood and perhaps even a bit of the somewhat wax seal that was placed on it. It all begins to crumble in your hands. Even as you imagine it, the tendrils of this image begin to flee. And you become rather suddenly and immediately unsteady on the floor as the floor underneath gives way. And now I'd like you to make a hard dex roll.
If I see this, can I jump towards him to try and grab his hand to stop him falling through the floor?
Sure. It's hard dex as well for you.
Yep.
Yeah, that wasn't a good roll.
What was it?
That was 98.
Doesn't sound very good. So perhaps can Mr. Fraser save him?
Let's see. That is a success, just a normal success, 47 under 60.
So it was hard success required. But if you would like...
I can try and push it.
Mr. Fraser, if you feel desperately like you must save the professor from what is likely certain doom, because you don't know where that hole goes, the face will give you the option to reroll that with advantage.
Oh, wow. I was going to push it, but if I could get a reroll with advantage, that's fantastic.
You could.
But the question that frames itself in my mind is, do I want to? Of course I want to. So I'm looking for a hard success, yeah? So
Yes.
see if I can get a 30 as I leap across the floor of the room and stretch out towards Professor Courtenay. 29 out of 30.
Very good. You leap forward. Professor, you fall backward through the hole. As the gravity of the situation suddenly takes hold. The case flies, still attached to your wrist, but flies backwards. And Mr. Fraser leaps, slides across the floor, and grabs at your ankle. And underneath him, Mr. Fraser, what you see is the most massive, gaping maw beneath this hole. It is ringed with an unbelievable amount of teeth and tendrils. And this hotel begins to shake and quiver with the call from inside this chasm's throat. And now you both roll sanity.
Gonna say, am I thanking the hand of fate?
Should I have failed that power roll? Would that have been a better move?
It's a bygone.
That's a 48. That's a success, thank God.
Okay.
That's a 94. That is not a success. It's not a fumble. By 2 points, it's not a fumble. But
It is a failed sanity roll, and we will deal with that. So with the hotel shaking and trembling, and now all of a sudden all of this immediate action going on, Lady Elisabeth and Miss Bellinger, what are you doing?
Shouldn't we be going out the door?
somebody help me here.
So we've just seen the professor starting to fall and Mr. Fraser grabbing him.
Yep, you've seen Fraser leap and grab his ankle, and as soon as he does and slows the process of the professor falling through the floor, that's when this enormous roar begins to erupt from the floor.
So is he still kind of hanging a bit down toward... Okay, so I'm going to jump forward and try to grab his hand and help pull him up.
All right. Miss Bellinger?
Yeah, I would assist as well. Knowing, too, that I'm maybe a little more dexterous than Lady Elisabeth.
All right. So, dex for the both of you, if you would.
Okay.
Although it's not hard for you because he's not nearly sliding as fast as, say, Richard was.
Okay.
Seriously?
28 under 55.
97 over 85.
Okay, well, that's not great.
I knew I shouldn't have helped.
The ridiculously nimble Maggie Bellinger falls on her ass.
You could push that roll, Miss Bellinger, if you'd like.
I will certainly try to push the roll. I think that is the only option here.
Sure.
I'll find myself maybe tripping on my skirt hem, so I'll kind of like reach down to gather it up to see if I can be a little more nimble.
Yep.
There we go. A 3 under 85.
That is fantastic. Well, you realize something very quickly as you're moving towards to assist with the situation. Your skirt hem is terribly in the way, and suddenly it is not anymore. You make very drastic changes to it, and you are propelled quickly forward to assist with this situation. And the investigators begin to form this kind of strange conga line of assistance at the same time, right? So Mr. Fraser is near the hole, holding the professor up to keep him from completely falling to what is likely certain doom. And then it is Lady Elisabeth grabbing onto Fraser, and then kind of sort of Maggie grabbing on both the Fraser and Lady Elisabeth. And everybody's just trying to stop what seems to be inevitable from happening. Now, as far as the sanity rolls go, Professor, I take a point of your sanity. And... oh, I just take a point from you, Mr. Fraser. So I'll explain what you see a little bit deeper there, because you get kind of the full Monty, as it were. This creature that's down below there has a very large maw, as I mentioned before. But it also has 6 or 8 very long and winding tentacles that ring the outside of its skull plate. And as it kind of yells out this roar. Those tentacles begin grabbing onto portions of the exposed innards of this hotel, and they're beginning to drag pieces down. They look like joists and support structure as well. And so beyond the mind-breaking nature of just seeing this creature, you're going to quickly realize that the hotel is going to be destroyed if you don't get out.
Quick, before...
Yes, I'm trying! I'll try and haul him up back into the room.
So that's a strength roll. You do get advantage because there are two people trying to keep you well anchored.
I have a strength of 60.
Does this creature smell?
Does it smell?
If there's this huge maw and tentacles, I would just wonder if there's an unpleasant smell.
I would say yes. Likely there is a very unpleasant smell. It probably smells a little bit like chlorine. Maybe there's a bit of a brassy smell to the air. It's an earthy scent for sure.
Don't want to know. That is bang on a hard success. 30 under 60.
All right. I am going to make a tentacle roll because those are the best in the world to make. And now the question is, how many do I get to make? The creature could use up to 8, but how many will it make? No, it's far more than 1. You didn't think this was going to be easy, did you, Professor? But your compatriot has done a little bit of work for you in the sense that he's pulling you back up. And so I will say half as many tentacles can grab at you than would normally be possible. So you have Mr. Fraser to thank for that. That is 0.6, so that is going to hit you. There's no bugger way around that. All right, you get swiped at 3 times, but you only get hit once. That is likely very, very helpful for you.
Good.
So you're coming up out of the hole quickly and sharply, and you feel something wet and slithery grab at your midsection. You feel these pinhole pinches at your stomach, and something inside of you bodily feels a heavy revulsion. You feel something get injected into your body violently.
Has this ruined another pair of trousers?
Quite possibly.
I suspect I've ruined my trousers as well.
Yeah, maybe. So, I'm going to deal you 9 points damage, but I'm going to deal it to you as MP damage.
The worst kind.
Mm-hmm. So you feel like literal life force get drained from you.
Quick, it's got me. Come on, pull a little
I'm
harder.
pulling as hard as I can.
Have a little. Come
Come
a
on.
little more.
Pull yourself up on me. Come on.
The group of you collectively recover the professor. And without even a moment's notice, Lady Elisabeth, you realize that something terrible has happened to the professor, because he's now ringed with this sickly brown and red color from his stomach. And you double over in pain as soon as you're on top of the stable ground.
Come on, get up. We've got to get out of here.
We need to go. Come along, Professor.
I can barely move.
But put your arm across my shoulders.
Okay.
Maggie would probably go to the other side of the professor, too, to help him, so he would be between me and Fraser.
Okay. You help him up, and you get him to his feet. And is the group collectively going to try to exit the hotel room then?
Yes.
Or what is left of it?
Yeah.
All right. So if you want to make your way down this broken stairway and quickly dismantling hallway, you're going to need to make a dex roll.
Yep.
Should have used a sextant.
Ooh, 39 under 55.
91. These green dice are not lucky tonight.
26 under 85, so hard success for me.
And I rolled a 14 as well, and we're carrying you, so I think hopefully that's helped.
So what we'll do is, given the 2 hard successes on those dice rolls for your assistants, Professor, we're going to let them kind of carry you out of this place. Perhaps like a bit like a sack of potatoes, but you get out.
Yeah, but we both know that you're not pulling your own weight here.
That's right. Martin, why don't you roll 3d10?
Ooh, that sounds ominous.
Oh my god.
And then tell me what you get.
That's a total of 12. 3 4s.
Let's see. And tell me, what is the professor's constitution?
60.
Very good, then. We'll just make a note on that.
Spend 2 points of luck, maybe, with that? Or
What would you spend luck on?
I don't know.
No, something is happening to your physical form while you're away. So we'll just note that the professor's taken 12 points of con damage from the worms that are eating themselves out from inside you. But the best part is you can't feel a thing in the dreaming. So you don't even know what's happening. You exit the hotel and you walk out into a world that seems as if it's taken some part in the apocalypse. The streets of Lausanne are empty. The bricks here are scattered and dashed with cracks. The city's not even as large as you remember it. Some of the streets and pathways are very similar, but the buildings here are very much broken, and despair reigns.
Would this bring back memories for me of a decade ago?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, this seems like it seems like just another city that's caught the worst of the fighting.
We should keep moving. We don't know what's out here. How are you feeling, Professor? Can you walk?
Ellie,
Well, you lean on me then.
I wonder how long this lasts.
We'll find out soon enough. When we wake up, we'll get Paul to take a look at you.
Yes, that might be good.
So, does this look like Lausanne in terms of the layout of the streets?
Very much so. In fact, many of the same touchstones that you saw before you see again. Buildings, streets, although not exact, very similar.
Just a quick question for the group, with what we just ran into in there. Did we devise a means to wake up before we went to sleep? Did anyone give Paul any orders to wake us after a certain period of time, or?
I don't think
No.
so.
Oh, bugger.
I certainly wish we would have thought of that ahead of time, but perhaps we'll figure something out. But I guess we have to make our way to get this scroll before anything else befalls us.
I have an idea, but we'll get the scroll first.
So where are you off to?
The taxidermist, I think.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, it's quite a harsh light out here as you walk up the hill. Again, it extends in a somewhat limitless plain beyond. You don't even see the mountains, really. You see the lake, but the stones of even the mountains seem to have been laid flat. Unsettling. The air is bitter. It's metallic. There's that distant roar from lower in the town, although no evidence of the creature you saw. And just about 30 yards or so up the hill, you see that many of the buildings here have been laid flat. Buildings that were once standing. There is the taxidermist shop. You spot it, Mr. Fraser, so you know it's there. It too, just like the buildings around here, looks dilapidated, looks old. Older than it did the waking world.
I'm trying my hardest just to focus on the job in hand, because this is most distressing. Being in this place, whatever it is, whatever kind of warped, deformed version of the real world this is, I've got the professor who's kind of leaning on me for support. I've got him to look after, and we've got to focus on what we need to do and then find a way of waking up as well. So whatever it's like here, I'm just trying to put it out of my thoughts and just keep moving.
Okay. You approach the taxidermist shop. Even your footsteps on the stone here cause a great amount of dust into the air. A couple of you sneeze because of it. It's almost as if there's some of the heavy ash that's in the air has piled up on the stonework outside. The door is open.
Professor, I wonder if perhaps you would be better waiting out here. You're in no condition to be walking around a house that might collapse under your feet.
Yes, maybe I should stay by the door. For all I know, the street might collapse. Then where would we be?
Well, if the street collapses, then we've got bigger problems to deal with. Maybe none of this will matter.
Who would have guessed the hotel would have fallen in like that? I mean...
We're through the looking glass now.
All right, who's heading in?
I'm going in.
Should somebody stay with the professor, do you think? Or
Maggie can stay and watch after the professor and help protect him, maybe.
Well, come along, your ladyship. Let's be about it. I'll follow your lead. You know what you're looking for.
Yes, let's make this quick.
Entering the shop, you see things somewhat familiar as you did before. But it's definitely not the same shop, that's for sure. Everything here has taken on a very primitive feel. There are no electric lights. Torches burn on the wall here, actively. The inside is sauna. It must be 15, 20 degrees higher than it is outside. It's almost a thick sweat that takes you when you walk in. It's like a curtain. The workroom table here has the same gutted deer on it. But since there's no ice or refrigeration in the area, it's a reeking mess. The front door that you guys walk through, the two of you walk through, shows evidence of being forced, Mr. Fraser. Looks like someone made their way in no matter what.
I'm going to see if I can grab something to use as a weapon if I need to.
The front room has changed a little bit as well as you guys walk through the lower floor. The animals that were taxidermied before in such care and maybe not art, but definitely with a professional's hand, are misshapen and ugly.
Where to?
Oh, we found the copy upstairs in the bedroom, so we might as well start there. It seems that a lot of things are in the same place they are in the waking world. Might as well try.
Very well. I guess we'll gingerly make our way up the stairs and start hunting.
All right. You hunt a bit. So you find upstairs that there are a couple of implements for writing, but you don't see any specifics as far as the scroll. You search under the bed. This does not take terribly long because there's not much here. You see no evidence of someone have lived here, right? Much as you did before. Some of the room is a bit overturned. It looks like somebody has been through here, but you see no evidence of there being someone present. There is a room or two downstairs you think you haven't been to, but the upper floor is devoid of anything you would find as evidence.
Looking for loose floorboards or loose bricks in the wall or that kind of thing, somewhere you might hide something.
Maggie, while you're outside, you hear a bell toll.
Uh-oh.
You start hearing a murmuring in the streets off the cobblestone, people talking.
Does it sound like people a distance away, or?
Yeah, a little bit. It almost seems like there's a market event going on, perhaps 4 or 5 streets over, that you can hear the din of people. Although the words are indiscernible, they're not really making any sense.
Richard, do you hear that? Do you think that we should take shelter somewhere?
Maybe we should move just inside the door, and if there's some sort of floor collapse, we can hopefully make it out quickly.
Yes, I'm not too certain about what we may or who we may run into here. I'm not sure if they will be hostile or not. So I do think it's best if we take some cover.
Yes, I think you're right.
Richard, when you enter the shop, you involuntarily are sick.
Oh no.
You find a corner to put it in rather than just do it all over the place. But it is fairly noticeable that what comes out of you is writhing with maggots.
Oh, God.
Dear Richard,
What
you're
on
quite
earth?
worse for wear. Oh, I think we need to get you out of this place. But I don't know how to get us back to the waking world. Do you have any ideas?
I can try something. Richard's going to fiddle with his dice.
Okay. You take out your trusty mental liniment and begin to try to do what? Find a center?
Yeah, so I mean, he's going to try and imagine the dice that must be in his pocket in the waking world, and he's going to try and use those dice as an anchor to connect back to the real world. He's going to imagine that him holding them in his hand here, must mean that he's holding them in his hand in the waking world, and he's going to try and sort of imagine a connection between them. These trusty things.
I will leave you in that mental spot for a second. Mr. Fraser and Lady Elisabeth, you guys come back down to the first floor through the hallway, and you know that there's a room there. You can see the door handle. You two haven't been in.
Your ladyship?
Shall we try here?
Absolutely. I have another place to look, but let's try here first, because I'd really rather not.
Very well. We'll go in and have a look around.
So this is the study. It's definitely in a disarray. Just with your eye, Mr. Fraser, you can see that there was some sort of struggle here. Something happened here. It's hard to tell what exactly, but there was some sort of struggle.
Seems that this place is in some way mirroring what's happened in the real world.
Yes, it does seem that way.
Let's see what we can find. I guess we start looking. Presumably there's a desk and shelves and bookshelves and that kind of thing here.
Yep, absolutely. If you'd like to give a spot hidden roll, go right ahead.
Absolutely.
19 under 59.
And 26 under 78.
Absolutely. So a couple of things become fairly evident. One is you're 100% sure that a struggle happened here. The second is there is not a single useful piece of scrap of information. All these books are either moldy and blank, or they're pure gibberish.
Well, this is frustrating.
Not here. Excuse me for one moment, your ladyship. And I'm going to go through into the workshop where this rotting carcass is.
Sure.
I'm going to hold my breath, and I'm going to plunge my hand into the belly of this creature and see what I can find within it.
So there are a couple of different carcasses here. The deer is one. There also is a... it appears anyway that might be some sort of bear over in the corner. But you shove your hand inside this deer, and it is definitely difficult to do. And you root around, and what you lack is more telling than what you find. And what you realize is that whomever was in here has removed, at some point, the beast's heart. It's gone.
I just kind of try and put aside my disgust and keep looking. If I don't find it, I'll pull my hand out, look around the room, and then maybe try the bear.
So if you want to search the bear, I'm going to ask for a hard constitution roll.
Okay. Yes, understood. I've got quite a good constitution. I've got a fairly strong stomach.
You do.
So,
Just watch, you're gonna fumble now.
shut your face.
I guess say that right before he rolls.
That is not a hard success. That is a normal success. But I'm willing to try and push it.
So you get about wrist deep And what you realize is the bear is likely older than the already rotting deer.
Lovely.
And so as you pierce that slurry, the miasma of flesh that's there, and you can feel that liquid jostle around in your wrist, you realize you've broken a sort of seal, and it's going to take quite a bit to get up to the elbow, which is likely where you need to go.
I will turn aside, politely vomit, and try again. Because as we all know, that's the best way to clear your head.
Fair enough.
Here goes nothing. What's 42 half of?
84.
And my constitution is 85.
Oh, very well. You dig in all the way to the elbow and beyond. You get nearly vertical up the inside of this bear. And it isn't until you get almost shoulder deep in them that you realize that something hard has tickled the end of your fingers. And then there it is. And you reach and yank. Because you have to. It does not come out easy. It comes out with a great gust of force. And as you do, there's a great spillage onto the ground of whatever was left inside this carcass. It's now pooled at Mr. Fraser's feet. But securely in his left hand is a scroll case, seemingly sealed in casually created leather.
I will wipe the case on my trouser leg, and I will shake the arm that's been inside the bear to sort of shake off the worst of whatever came out of it, and I will back away hastily and find her ladyship.
She's not far.
Your ladyship, I have it. Let's get out of here.
Excellent, Mr.
You might want to
Fraser.
hold your breath.
Yes, thank you for the warning.
Oh, yeah, that's gross.
I hope this doesn't transfer into the waking world. Speaking of, now what?
Well, if you would like to take this, I don't know if this is going to work, your ladyship, but if you'd be so kind, I would like you to strike me briskly around the face as hard as you can.
Well, I can try. Are you sure?
I'm a big man, I can take it. Hard as you can. Yes, please, your ladyship.
All right.
Fingers crossed.
I don't think that will help. I'll give him a slap.
So I'm not going to make you roll to hit him because I think that's a little silly. I'm not necessarily even going to make you roll damage because I don't honestly think that Lady Elisabeth is trying to damage Fraser. Seems a bit counterproductive. But that said, she gives you an awful wallop.
Excellent.
And it's been a while since you've been smacked by a woman, even longer since you've been smacked by a proper lady.
My mother was the only woman that ever smacked me.
But sadly, you do not wake.
Oh, well, it was worth a try. Let's find the others. See if we can figure out a way to get out of here. Perhaps Professor Courtenay's gizmo, his gadget, can...
Professor Courtenay and Maggie, you would have heard the smack from the other room. That would have been impossible to not hear.
Oh, I suppose he had it coming to him.
Yes, I was just thinking to myself, finally.
Well, how do we get out of this place? I'm not doing very well, I fear.
They walk in.
Do you think we could get a message to Paul? I'm not sure how, but maybe through Morse code or some means, get something from our world to his world to let him know to wake us up?
Yes, I'm not quite sure how you transmit that between a dream world and a living world, but it's a good idea.
Throw some dice at the wall.
Lady Elisabeth, Mr. Fraser, are you finishing up in there?
What? Oh, I didn't know you two were here. I thought you were outside.
Well, we heard a crowd of people and a bell ringing, and we haven't encountered the most warm of welcome here, so we decided to take cover.
Yes. Well, that does present a problem.
Mr. Wellington, in his journal, didn't describe the horrible nature of this place. It seemed more pleasant to him. I'm not sure if its downfall is related at all to his death. It was strange that the door crumbled away in front of me.
I wonder if one of us brought that thing with us.
We don't have time for speculations. We need to figure out how to wake up.
Perhaps your gadget there in your case, perhaps that can help us.
Mr. Fraser, do I hear you encouraging us to use the sextant?
Will wonders never cease?
I just want to get out of here.
So just for clarification, Maggie and Richard, you would see that he has a fairly large leather case with him now. It's perhaps a bit discolored, yes, but he's retrieved something from it.
I assume that's what we came here for?
And my right arm is also dripping with some noxious smelling fluids.
Well, he did say he hid it.
Yes, I could try it.
Yes, let's try the device, Richard.
Okay. I'm assuming Richard's still not feeling particularly well at the minute with worms and shit going on.
You are not.
Richard, you might not be in the state to withstand it. Perhaps you should let someone else, myself, Lady Elisabeth.
I was planning on letting you try this at some point, if you remember, when we were talking about the arm, so...
Now may not be the place or time for a trial run.
Well, I've done it before. I can try it.
If Mr. Fraser will let you.
Let me. Excuse me.
He seems to be encouraging it right now.
Well, I was under the impression, Professor Courtenay, from what you said, that you had mastery of the device now.
We don't have time for all this chit-chat. Come on, let me try it.
No, I'm serious. If Professor Courtenay has studied the device and does truly believe that he understands its workings, then surely he is the best person to utilize it. I'm merely being practical.
He seems to not be feeling well.
Yes, I'm not sure he can fully control it in his current state of constitution.
Yeah, appears to have taken somewhat of a bad turn from that thing.
Well, if you tell me what to do, I'll do it, Professor.
No. I've done this before and
I know, and I saw what happened to you.
I didn't have any ill side effects. It was just a bit of screaming, that's all, and I didn't even know I was doing it. So, as Miss Bellinger said, now is not the time to be experimenting.
Very well, Your Ladyship, but I just don't want to see you come to any harm. That's all.
Yes, well, it's more likely we'll come to harm if we stay here. So, come on, hand it over.
Oh, you'll have to take it out of the box.
It's handcuffed to him, so.
Mm-hmm.
But you set it up on one of the nearby. Well, just really, there's a shop counter there. You set it on. You have to kind of move a little bit over, and that's really when he moves to get closer. You see a couple of things, Lady Elisabeth. You see that he's got some discoloration here on his stomach, and then also it seems that he has been sick there in the corner, and that's kind of gross because it's moving.
Yes, time we got out.
But opening the case, you see something rather strange. You see what appears to be something like the device, although the material it's made out of is rather different. You see a lot of woods, polished bronze. You see no opalescence to it. There are lenses, but they move in different directions. They don't line up where the other ones used to. They're in a different format.
Well, this is fun. Are you seeing this, Professor?
Yes, I don't know what it means. I'm sure it must work in the same way or some similar way. Try it as you did the other.
Very well. Any suggestion on arrangements?
So Richard will refer back to his memory, and I think probably pink and black. So, try pink and black if you have them.
Do I have them?
You do. You do have pink and black. There's also blue and green and yellow that's available.
Well, the professor said pink and black, so if this goes horribly, horribly wrong, it's all his fault. So, I'm going to use the device.
Oh, boy.
Mm-hmm.
So, you arrange the spokes on the lenses, and then you begin to cover your face, this time with a very warm and almost welcoming wood against the bridge of your nose and against your rather pale cheekbones. But it isn't more than a few moments before these circular spyglass style lenses at the front begin to lighten up with the colors of pink and black. Now I would like you to make me a hard power roll.
Hard, huh?
Yep.
Ooh. 26. That is a hard.
Okay.
26.
It affixes to your face, clamps on, and the rest of you see the rest of the lenses, which are not used, kind of twirl almost in a fan-like method until they line up with certain points on her face, and then they clamp down.
I'll immediately move to her side to steady her, should she require it.
Okay. She begins screaming at the top of her lungs, as hard a breath as you have ever heard her take.
And I look very pointedly at Professor Courtenay.
So, Lady Elisabeth, you see all sorts of things. You see the building you're in evaporate.
Ooh.
People you're standing around are plucked from your vision as if they are feathers from a freshly prepared chicken. They whisk out of sight. And you're now standing in a field somewhere, perhaps an agricultural field. There's still some spattering of mountains around. And there's a shadow overhead. It's a noonday, but a shadow passes over you. It's long and somewhat reptilian. It arcs its way down through your vision, this green and brown scaled creature, and lands with a bit of a thump on the ground, say about 30 yards from you. And a form, tall, long-limbed, likely humanoid, slides down the back of this creature and begins carefully striding towards you.
Can I make out anything else about it other than it's humanoid?
It's wearing a long robe, which is just covered by all sorts of strange symbols. Some you've seen, some you've never seen. It has a long beard and a rather foppish hat.
So in curiosity, I'll just wait for the figure to approach me, see if we speak the same language or if it tries to talk to me.
It stops probably a good 4 or 5 meters from you and hails you. It raises a hand, which seems to come up in a almost strange gesture. It makes some sort of strange fingered gesture at you, as if it's giving you a specific greeting.
I'll mimic the greeting back to them.
It moves closer, and as it does so, the air around you gets pressurized. There's a significant gravitic weight that seems to take over the air. It looks at you rather curiously.
Hello? Do you speak English?
English? It puzzles. It says, and you hear in English. I'm not familiar with the tongue.
But you can understand me anyway. Wonderful. Pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Pleasure? Mick questions. In what way?
I make a smiling motion. Just like I've never met someone like you, so whenever I meet someone new, it's interesting. Therefore, I am pleased.
A curious headpiece.
Yes, it is rather unusual.
I thought it was lost.
Oh, do you know what this is?
Indeed.
What is it?
It's a lens. He steps closer.
Very helpful.
For seeing things. Where and when? How?
We haven't quite figured out how it works. We just know we can see different things when we put it on. Which is why I'm here.
I noticed you as I was overhead.
Yes, I saw you flying with that marvelous creature.
Yes, Henry is a wonderful beast.
Henry?
Indeed.
That's a good name. Good name for a dragon? I don't know what you'd call it.
He puzzles when you say dragon.
Well, that's probably what we'd call it in my language. So
Henry is merely my conveyance.
he seems very nice. Just sort of peer around and look back. Have you ever been to the dream world?
You don't know where you are.
No, that's why I'm asking.
You're in the dreamlands.
Yes, I'm trying to figure out how to wake up. I'm in some sort of dream world, and I can't figure out how to get out.
Oh, well, would you like to wake up?
Yes, myself and my companions. There are 4 of us.
It seems simple enough. He takes out his hand, and then he, with a somewhat clawed finger, draws a symbol on his hand. A semicircle, and then 2 lines that navigate back towards his wrist, which is bedecked with jewelry and odd trinkets. It kind of jingles when he moves. It's a simple symbol.
Is there something I need to do?
Draw the symbol. Desire to wake. It's a simple process.
Yes, thank you. That does seem very simple. And I hope to meet you again. Do you have a name you go by that I can call you? I know names can be very important, but
I'm happy leaving it as this. We'll see each other soon.
that's good to know. And Henry, I hope. And just sort of smile over at Henry.
The beast seems to crane its neck over just to look at you and kind of judge your position.
I should probably be going. We need to wake up. But thank you for the assistance, and I look forward to our future meeting.
As do I. It's the last words, really, that kind of reverberate inside your head. It's almost a knowing sound. And you get a little concerned. And then you're being held by Mr. Fraser because your legs seem to have gone to jelly. She stops screaming.
Ah, well, that was interesting. Ink or something to draw with. Quickly.
You don't have any ink ready. The closest thing you likely have to paper would be what's ever in the scroll case.
What do you need to do, Your Ladyship?
I need to draw a symbol. I've learned how to wake up.
Maybe just scrape some of the stuff off of Mr. Fraser's arm.
Just draw it in the
use
dust
that.
on the ground, maybe.
Yes, or that.
I hope that works. So I'll gingerly take some of the blood off of Mr. Fraser's arm and draw this symbol in the dust.
Okay, so to be clear, it's not necessarily blood that you take off.
That's fine. Whatever it is.
His arm. It's something.
I just need to draw the symbol because we need to wake up, so.
She draws a circle, and then you see 2 lines fork out of that circle. And when she draws it, there's a bit of a strange hum that takes onto the air. And you hear that bell toll again outside the door.
You need to wish to wake up. Close your eyes, wish that you were awake in the waking world. And I'm just going to lean back and I'm going to do that myself.
Okay. You lay back.
Mm-hmm.
You wish to wake up. Moments pass. Nothing happens.
Perhaps you have to draw it on yourself. I'll try again. And draw the symbol on my wrist, but I'm going to leave the one on the floor so that if I do wake up, they can see what the symbol is.
Yep. You do the same thing. Still rooting and hoping to wake up. But again, moments pass and nothing happens.
They said to draw this symbol and wish to wake up. Maybe I'll just sketch it out with my fingernail.
Do you need to speak it out loud?
No, there was none of that sort of thing.
Something comes to mind for you, Lady Elisabeth, and that is that when you first got here, you realized that this place isn't really the same place you were with the cats and with Ulthar. This place is different.
If Richard looks at this symbol, he should be able to kind of work out what's going on. I mean, it's a symbol and maybe it represents a planet or a plane or a place, and the line something else. Can he kind of try and guess at what an equivalent for this place would be?
Got a cult?
A
As close as you're going to get.
little bit.
Yeah, give me an occult roll, sure.
I was hoping for that maths roll, but
I know.
nah.
Well, we'll get there someday.
There are two possibilities here. It's 22, so it's not a million miles away. I've got some luck. Or I could push it. But on a 5, that would be... Now, let's just say that didn't work. Let's just cut our losses there, and we'll leave that one there. It's a symbol.
Well, maybe you need to be, I don't know, maybe you need to be somewhere else. Maybe you need to be back where you were when you got here. Perhaps it's there's a point where you have to go back to where you were.
Well, shall we try it back at the hotel?
Does it even stand anymore?
Well, I don't know, but we're not going to learn anything here, so let's go. Might as well try.
What about the thing with the tentacles? That's not good at all.
Well, we know. Well, just avoid the thing with the tentacles.
For lack of a better idea, let's start there.
You step out, and when you step out, the streets are filled with people. It's as if there's a holiday or a festival parade you are not aware of. There are people stretching for every inch of street cobblestone available.
Stay close together.
And they all seem to be headed in a certain direction. And that is where I'm going to call it this evening. So thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Horror on the Orient Express. We value your time and your ears, and we look forward to seeing what happens to our investigators in Dream Lausanne next time.